Hi, my name's Callum Stevens and I have arachnophobia. It's something that's plagued me all my life. However, about 3 years ago, I had an incident where I found 3 spiders under my bed, and I'm pretty sure it caused me to have hallucinations and somewhat of a minor breakdown. After that incident, I phoned my friend Chris, who's a tarantula keeper, and he told me that I needed to do 2 things: research and exposure. Chris, over the past 3 years, has been sending me pictures of the tarantulas he keeps, and then moved into videos, and we even went to a show together. Along the journey, I've become fascinated with tarantulas, but I am still scared. And the one thing that I've become more interested in than anything was the human behind it all, Chris. And that's how Tarantula Tales was born.
So in my family, we have 2 adults, 2 children, a scorpion, 2 dogs, a hamster, camel spider, 98 tarantulas. I mean, that many legs in a household, it seems quite excessive, but in reality, it's actually quite simple to do. Obviously, you've got the family aspect, which is just, your day-to-day life, and then you've also got, which everybody doesn't have, is 98 tarantulas. It's very much a reward for me. It's something I really enjoy. It's a hobby that I enjoy. It takes me away from reality. Like, I'm just got to focus on the spiders. As hectic as it sounds, it's pretty much straightforward that I just have time for my spiders and time for my family. I do have a wide array of different tarantulas. I'll mainly talk about the tarantulas because that's what I focus in. So some of my species, or genus, it's called genus. So for example, the Goliath bird eater, there's 3 types of them. So it starts off with Therathosa, and then as I say, there's 3 species in that genus, and there's Apophysis, Sturmey, and Blondie. I would say they're one of my highlight spiders purely on the sheer size of them.
So my name's Scott. I do a YouTube channel called Scott's Inverts. Been keeping tarantulas for around 8 years, and decided that I wanted to share the experiences and the whole journey, the ups and the downs, the good stuff and the bad stuff on YouTube. More importantly, I want to document my own journey, because we always do things in life and we always want something to look back on. So that's one of the original reasons why I got into doing the actual YouTube itself. So we could have literally a full history of what I've been doing for the last 7 years and show children and my grandkids and all the rest of it. So when somebody says, what's your favourite genus to me, or says, what's your favourite spider, I always say I'm a fat bloke. If you put me in front of a kebab shop and said, what's your favourite kebab, I would say all of them. So the same thing relates to the spiders. I can't put my finger on a favourite genus or a favourite spider. I can't tell you if I prefer tarantulas to true spiders, because for me they're all here. They're not like this. I think the pokies are just as nice and as beautiful as what curly hairs are, and vice versa. So I've got around 300 spiders, plus we've got about 10-15 centipedes. We've got a whole host of scorpions, including water scorpions. I've got mantis, we've got stick insects, we've got slugs, we've got snails, we've got all sorts. Even got a couple of reptiles in there as well as. But what I will say is, if somebody's watching now and they think, oh, wow, I can't get into the hobby because I can't afford to buy 300. You get into the hobby, you don't actually need to be keeping any inverts whatsoever. Just a passion for it, just an interest, and you are part of this community.
Mark Ashton, also known as Mark the Spider Guy. I've got a YouTube channel with the same name, Mark the Spider Guy, and it's mainly dealing with spider rehousings, tarantulas, the odd true spider. With me, it started when I was a child. I was about 12. I got my first spider. I went on then to Therathosa sturmey, which is a Goliath bird eater. Kept them for a few years, then I stopped keeping them. And then I started back in the hobby about 7 years ago with 2 spiders. I now have over 350, so quite a big collection. Favourite genus is the Pamphobetas. I've got about 14 different Pamphobetas, and I absolutely love them.
So you're almost there.
So my name is Stephen Thornton. I'm the creator, I suppose, of tarantula-tastic enclosures, YouTube, social media, everything else. I've been doing this building enclosures for approximately, 6 years, I think now. So yeah, it's just got bigger and bigger and bigger. It's basically, bottom line, it's a YouTube enclosure building tutorial service. That's what I always wanted it to be. I never wanted it anything else. And the fact that, I might go on to start selling these as sort of a living in the near or far future, who knows, is a different aspect. It was primarily just to have some fun and show people how to build stuff. How many legs? Oh, I don't know. Tarantula-wise, God knows, I am approximately 200 tarantulas, so 200 times 8. I think the green bottle blue is my favourite. Basically, they do really, really heavy webbing, so it makes my sort of the horror stuff I do in the enclosures look really, really cool. And they're also really, really easy to keep as well. And and the colours are amazing, and they are always out, so you see them all. A lot of tarantulas you don't actually see a lot of, so I try to stick with nice display spiders.
Tarantula keepers have challenges inside and outside of the hobby. Let's hear about some of those challenges from the 4 tarantula fanatics.
So let's start with the negatives and we'll end on a high. So the lows of tarantula keeping, I would definitely say, is when you unexpectedly lose a tarantula. Through life, everyone makes mistakes, and I've definitely made a couple of mistakes, but with mistakes, that's how you learn. So quite early on in the hobby, I was handling a tarantula at the time, and this is why a few people don't handle tarantulas. People see it as a look but don't touch kind of animal, which is fair enough. Everyone's got their preferences, and for me to tell them you're wrong, it's just not the right way forward. Everyone can do it in any way possible. However, I did make a mistake where, and as I said, I didn't realise this at the time, it was very early on, that I was holding a tarantula and took it to my wife to show her, because I was really excited. And she made quite a loud noise because she didn't expect it to be there. She wasn't close to it or anything. With that loud noise, even though they can't hear, they can sense in their vibrations around the room. It made it basically bolt out of my hands. It fell onto the floor and its abdomen popped. That was one thing I definitely learned. And always, if anyone is watching this, I would always recommend to, if you are planning on holding your tarantulas, to make sure that you are doing it in a safe environment. You're low to the floor, and there is no minimal risk of a tarantula falling. If it does bolt out of your hands, don't panic. And if it does fall, just make sure it's at a low height.
Made the mistake because I didn't know nothing about them of putting full box of crickets in, and the crickets actually ate the spider.
This one is a little bit dark, so if drugs and homelessness kind of trigger you, probably best to skip the next kind of 30 seconds to a minute. But I was into Class A's, I was homeless, and what happened was I eventually got a flat, and to reconnect with my parents, I knew I had to get clean. So I got clean, and at the end of that period, I was all over the place with anxieties, I was all over the place with my mental health, and a friend of mine was coming out of the hobby. They'd actually been kicked out of home themselves and said to me, "Scott, will you look after these 2 tarantulas?" And at the time, I could barely look after myself. My hair was all over the place, didn't really bath very often and all the rest of it, which is completely normal when you're coming off the drugs or when you're on drugs. And what happened was he gave me these 2 spiders, and what happened is I took my old addiction and basically applied it to a good hobby, which is the invert hobby. And what that did was, because I'm researching the spiders, it took up a lot of my time. So instead of my mind being on drugs and how I was living my life, I was more focused on, right, well, I've got this amount of money, I need to get food, need to do this, and I also need to buy this for the spiders, need to get that for the spiders, and oh look, there's more spiders out there. So it took my mind off drugs completely and gave me a different direction in life, especially with YouTube and having a family now. It all gives you that focus to go in the right direction. So I think when it comes to numbers and figures and how many people have got, I think what you should really think about is just ignore that, because you can be as passionate for one tarantula as what you can for like 300-400. Some of my friends, their collections go into the thousands, but and then I've got friends that have got one or two, and the passions are exactly the same, and also the knowledge is also the same level. We're all still learning, so you don't need a lot of tarantulas. You don't actually need to own any to be part of this community.
Basically just family stuff. I've got 6 kids, so that keeps life really, really, really busy. Our youngest has autism, so keeping up with him is a daily challenge as well. So the whole tarantula thing is my sort of little escape. How do you send and receive spiders? To be honest, you just send them through raw mail. A lot of my local post office know me very, very well. During the winter, obviously, it gets really, really cold, so you have to put heat packs in, because raw mail, even though they are really, really great, do have issues from time to time. But I find it easier personally trading through shows. I think there's loads of difficulties and stuff. I think that there's so much mixed information out there on care and etc. People Google too much and then think they're like the world's expert at tarantula keeping. Every day is a learning day. Everybody gets stuff wrong. But that's how you cope with it. I think misinformation is the worst thing you can. I've seen in the hobby, really.
Whether they are known by a few or many, these 4 people are active in the community. But how do they feel about the community they represent?
The highs of tarantula keeping, I would obviously, the tarantulas are the big part of it, but the one thing that I didn't expect was the people that come with it. So obviously I'm quite I've met a lot of people on the way over the last few years of being in the hobby, and it's just something that, the interactions and conversations that we can have, that it's seen as like a weird hobby to have, which is understandable. Tarantulas, scary looking beasts, but we see them in a different light, and we can just talk about them the way that we want to talk about, and that what other people, like my wife or my friends, might not understand. Also, I do help run a tarantula community group on Facebook. It's quite a large one, and its main focus is in America. I mean, there's members all from around the world.
I think they probably think I'm an absolute head case, because I absolutely love spiders, inverts, the community behind it all. There's just, when it comes to people, animal people are the best. Do you know what I mean? There's very little drama with animal people. There's a lot of love and there's a lot of respect for each other that you don't really see kind of outside of the hobby.
So one similarity that I have seen in the hobby and other hobbies that people have who have tarantulas is definitely horror films. We all seem to have a love of horror. There's a particular person, Steve Thornton, who does tarantula-tastic enclosures. I found him out quite quickly, to be honest, through the groups. He does some of the best enclosure builds I've ever seen. He's got like the Goonies as well. He's got Evil Dead, Friday the 13th, Halloween, all different types of movie genres. Not even just horror, but he's also got like Star Wars as well. And some of the enclosure builds that he's made. I mean, my personal favourite that he probably did was probably the Pennywise one, which was the obviously from the film It.
Probably, I've got a Goonies commune based on the 1985 Goonies movie. It's probably, it went way beyond what I thought it was going to look like. I wanted it to look, I don't know, as sort of respect to the film, I wanted it to look like a movie set, and I think I succeeded. I've done the Goonies tank, and the owner of the Goonies house in Astoria messaged me, and I actually talked to him on Instagram. So yeah, he bought a house. He's sort of a Goonies mega fan.
Like, I would love to be able to do that, and maybe at some point down the line, I will be able to do that. And I suppose that's a good thing as well, because my wife is very crafty, and she's been able to help me create these enclosures as well. So that's kind of like a bonus, because it's sometimes I get a little bit overwhelmed with how things look. So she comes in and helps me with that. I mean, she's definitely helped me with some of these enclosures.
So when we spoke to Chris, he said that he aspires to be like you. How does it feel having people in the community that aspire to be like you?
It's quite humbling, actually, mate. I think Chris would say, and hopefully anyone that has come away from meeting me would be say I'm just a down to earth guy. I've got time for absolutely everybody. And if you're going out and you want to start building enclosures and upping your game and making everything look a bit more display, that's why I do tutorials. I'm not trying to like, oh, this is what I do, but I'm not telling anybody else. I decided that from the very, very first time, the first YouTube video I done, that I wanted just to show everybody how to do it.
I've got a good partner. She helps me all the time, feeding, watering, whatever needs doing. The only thing that she won't do is do the rehousings, but I love doing them myself anyway. But yeah, without her, I couldn't do what I do.
Yeah, how many people would I have met if just through the Tarantula world, and I would have never met them? Loads, hundreds. Look, basically, the last show I did, I must have had at least 30 people come and say hello, and they'd actually talk to me through Messenger and all that sort of stuff. And I do class everybody that I talk to through all that as friends. A lot. I mean, the tarantula hobby is a bit weird because everybody lives miles and miles away. So that's when we do the shows and we go and see everybody. It's really a social event for me. Going and actually talking to all my mates and all the friends that I've made.
I think there is OCD runs highly through this community. Autism, mental health. I think 90 to 95% of my friends in the hobby, in the community, have either been with it or suffered with it. As strange as it sounds, rock music. A lot of us are into rock and heavy metal. A lot of us are not mainstream people, so we're not the ones that will go and watch the football because our mates go and watch the football. We're the ones that will literally turn around and go, actually, I don't like this, but I do like this, and I'm going that way. I think that type of people are in this hobby, as well as very, very quiet people that like to keep themselves to themselves. I think it was extrovert to introvert. I think it was on a t-shirt once, and I kind of thought, that's right, yeah, that is right. But what's really interesting is when the kids get into spiders, or when somebody gets into spiders and then they can't go to a show, so the mate or their parents bring them in a car and it's their first show, they don't like spiders, and by the time they leave, they're then like really, really enjoying the hobby, really looking at buying spiders themselves. That's another part of the hobby that you see quite a lot of. But like I said, I think with themes, it's very much mental health orientated. I think because the way dogs sometimes support their owners with mental health, spiders, I'm going to, like a personal reference, for me with my spiders, my mind goes absolutely crazy all the time. And I find it hard to bring my thoughts together. I find it hard to actually live life. But when I'm in with my spiders, they're not doing anything, they're just relaxing. And that's something that a lot of us really need to do ourselves. So by being with a spider, we're learning from them, because they're sitting there doing nothing. And what are we doing while we're watching them? Sitting there doing nothing. So we're actually relaxing and just calming down. I see spiders helping a lot of people that way in this hobby.
I was recently diagnosed over the last few years with autism. So I definitely think that plays a big part in my hobby. But in terms of why I just love the beauty of them. I think they're the most relaxing creatures, animals you can see. All they want to be done is left alone. They'll do their own thing. They'll web how they want to web, and they'll just chill. It definitely helps me have this hobby. I mean, I suffer with mental health issues on a day-to-day basis, stress, anxiety, things like that, and I don't really want to get into that. So yeah, it's mainly just because that's the thing that I was put on this planet to love. I love tarantulas because it's something that I love.
At the start of this journey, I never thought what I'm about to show you would happen. Enjoy.
So another point to this entire documentary is that the person who actually created the documentary was, I'd say he still is a little bit scared, but he's probably the one that is terrified the most out of anyone I actually know. I've never known anyone to be so scared. I mean, we went to the show together. He's been around thousands of tarantulas at the shows, filming this documentary, and it was a really good day. And it's like I was just saying about the phobia. It's just exposing yourself little by little on the phone. I speak to him about stuff on the phone. I mean, he never used to be able to receive a picture of a spider. Now he's up on the glass, looking at them. So as you can see, just by me talking and what he's learnt from me has helped him somewhat through being able to get over this fear ever so slightly. And if it's a little bit better, that makes me a happier person. Callum, get on held.